I am losing my mind working on this game. It has been 3 months, maybe even more. I didn't actually really count, but it's been like 3 months since my last video, and I have gotten almost no work done on the game. So for everyone that doesn't know, I'm making a game called Upfront. In this game, you manage the restaurant front business for a mafia. During the day, you cook and serve food to customers, and at night, you defend your restaurant from rival mafia members. Okay, so when I said I got no work done, I actually didn't mean no work. I actually did get a semi-viable game loop in, and some of the other features in the game. If you remember, there were going to be 3 phases, which were the service phase, the upgrade phase, and the defend phase. And in that video, I only had the service phase. And so since then, I've actually finished, or at least gotten a minimum of what I need to do for the playtest done of the upgrade system and the enemy system. But after I did that, I pretty much stopped working on the project for months. I'll get into what happened after that break a little later, but for right now, we're going to talk about what I did right after the last devlog. So the first thing I did was implement an upgrade system. How the system works is that when you finish up your serving round and make money, is you can go up to different things in your store and you can upgrade them. For the most part, it'll either increase the amount of money you make off of that thing or the amount of damage that the thing is able to do. If anyone's really interested in how I implemented this, what I did is I set up a base node for the upgrades and then listed all of the different upgrades that there were, starting with just the base thing. And then each one of the upgrades has a specific model that it'll show. So, when you upgrade something, there's a visual difference. And then there's also like a little script where you can change the parameters of how this thing will change from upgrade to upgrade. And so what that means is that whenever I have models for new upgrades for each thing, I can just plug them into here and then it'll automatically work and just in the game upgrade to the different model as the player upgrades their things in their restaurant. So the next thing I did was make an enemy. Now what this enemy did is it's basically just the same thing as the customer. It's just a simple pathfinding script that finds the best spot to the player and then moves there. It's a really basic enemy. It was really just more of a proof of concept or how was this enemy going to work. But I decided to scrap it in the end. It didn't really fit with the game and it didn't really make sense. Why is he just coming up to the player and just standing there? Doesn't really make sense. There needs to be more there. And we also just can't have one enemy. But that's for later in the video. So next is probably the most fun part, I guess you could say. And that's the actual weapons. I've been alluding to them since the beginning and I haven't really implemented them because I've been more focused on the other half of the gameplay. And now that that's pretty much done, it's time to focus more on the attack side or the defense side. So what I did was make this simple cannon that the player can walk up to, interact with, and then they can move the cannon around and fire pieces of pasta. Next, I implemented that to work with the enemies, and so when the enemy comes up, the player can actually shoot at the enemy, and after a few hits, it'll kill the enemy. Okay, so this is going to be the last technical, kind of boring thing until we hit kind of the big part of this video, so just bear with me for a little bit. I decided that the cannon really wasn't a good start for the game. I think it makes more sense to have something handheld like a pistol. And so that's what I did. It's the pasta pistol. And what it does, I know it shoots the same thing as the cannon. I'm gonna work on the branding. That's not the important part. The important part is that it does pretty much the same thing, except it just uses the rotation from the player. So when you look around and click to shoot your weapon, it'll shoot a pasta piece out and kill the enemy in the same way that the cannon did. Okay, so now for me to descend into complete chaos in this video, this is where the structure is just going to go way downhill, and I'm kind of just going to go off about this. After I implemented this feature, and you can literally see it in the Git commits, I stopped working on the project. And to this day, I don't even know why. It was It wasn't like my other projects. In my other projects, I would lose interest and I knew I lost interest. And so I would either restart or I would work on something else that I was also interested in. But with this project, it wasn't like that. I had never experienced anything like this before. This is a new kind of feeling, and which is why I'm going to make a video in a few weeks probably, because this is something I'd never experienced as a game developer before, or even just a programmer. And it was kind of a state of apathy. I wanted to work on the project, but I didn't want to work on the things that I was needed to work on. It was more of I generally wanted to work on the idea of the project, but it wasn't so much like when I opened up Godot, I was just like, why am I even doing any of this? And so I stopped for like 3 months. I have been working on other projects. I'll probably make videos about those. But I literally didn't change anything in Godot. I opened it up a few times and made small... Actually, I didn't even make any edits. I literally just looked around in the project, realized that I didn't want to do any of it, and then I just went and played games or something. But it wasn't all bad. I actually kind of am glad that I did that. Yes, it was bad. I had talked about playtesting. I thought playtesting was going to happen way back in October. It's halfway through November right now, and there's still probably another month to go before playtesting will be ready. But the thing is, during that time, I actually got to play video games, and I really hadn't done that before. Yeah, I'd played video games, years ago, but it was really just like a handful of games. And I really just have been focusing on my projects or work. And so I haven't really been able to really get into video games and really understand why I love them. And so that's what I did. I played lots and lots of games, and it kind of drained my bank account because I bought a ton of games. But what I learned is what I really want from a video game, what fun actually means, at least to me. Because that's going to be different for everyone. But I realized why I'm making this project at all. It's not just because I like the idea of releasing a game. It's because I really care about video games. I like video games. It's something I'm passionate about. And so that was great. I got back into games that I hadn't played in a while. I bought tons of new games. I played some games that completely changed since the last time I played them. That was great. It was a great experience to finally be able to just chill down a bit. Yes, it was 3 months, which kind of sucked, but I think it was still pretty beneficial. And now I'm still trying to work back into my schedule, working on the game. It was borderline of video game addiction during that time, and so that part wasn't great. I'm still trying to work on that myself. But the biggest thing is that now I'm excited to work on this project. I started working on it and I changed some big things about the game. I realized some big things about the game. The game is going in a completely different direction now. And I think that's great. I took time to actually study. I started reading the level design book. That was amazing. It's an amazing book. I'm going to actually link it in the description. If you're trying to build a game world at all, it's great. It's a great resource, and it's not just about placing things physically in your game world. It's about the flow of your level, like how you should be structuring your work, how you should manage working on features with building the game out. And so that was great. I did research during this time. And then, so I changed some big things, which I'm about to talk about in a second. So that's where I've been. That's what I've been doing. But now I really am genuinely excited to build this game and give it to you guys. And so I know this is kind of a shameless plug, but that's why you should join my Discord server. It's really dead right now because there's like 3 people in it, but you should join it. It's where you're going to have the latest updates for everything in the project. Everyone in there that wants to. That's going to be the main source of feedback with the game. And also these videos, it's like the best way to tell me what I should be doing differently. Feedback for everything. But it's also the place where you're going to be able to playtest this game. Yes, you can email me. Like if you contact me in other ways, yeah, you'll still be able to playtest it. I don't really have a community right now, so it's not really like I don't have to worry about a ton of people playtesting. So, if you email me, yeah, I'll probably add you to the list. But the Discord server is the best way to get any access to new information about it. So the next thing I did was work on a prototype level. I mentioned the level design book, and that's what I used to create this level. I'd mentioned in previous videos that this first level is going to be Italian themed, and so I looked at some images of Italian restaurants, and I thought about a lot of the other Italian restaurants that I've been to, and I sort of extracted the feeling of that and put that into a level. Now, what you're gonna see is not that feeling. It's a block out. It's really just meant for the proof of concept of the level itself. And then once I get the prototype out, I'm going to add some assets in and change things up visually. That's going to make it look like an Italian restaurant. But for now, the important thing was the block out. And so what I did is I made a block out, which was different from what I'd made before. Before, I just kind of threw everything in without really knowing how it was going to work. But this time, I decided this is where customers are going to be. This is where the kitchen is going to be. And this is how the player is going to navigate all those sorts of things. There's going to be a way to navigate the customers, and there's going to be a way to navigate the different enemies. And so I made some windows in there so that different types of enemies can use the windows, which I'll talk about in my next devlog, which will probably be 2 videos from now. And I decided that there was a flow for how enemies were going to enter the level and how they would interact with the player. And so I designed this whole level based off of that, and that's what I did. I made the level block out. It felt like actual progress on the game. That's the end of the devlog proper. Subscribing really helps, liking the video, and also just, you guys have left some amazing comments. I know I don't really have a community right now, but there have been some people in the old videos from, months ago that you've just been so excited about this project. Probably some of you even more excited than I've been. And that's actually felt really amazing to see that people are enjoying the kind of work that I'm doing. I really appreciate you guys for being interested and excited about this project and I guess believing in me. So yeah, that's the video. If you had any feedback, I'd really love to hear it. I'm always trying to do better, and I really appreciate you watching this video. I know this is a lot longer than any other video I've made, but I appreciate it. Thank you, and have a nice day.